Thanks a lot, Peter. Appreciate Peter inviting us to Metals Investor Forum for the first time. And I also like to thank John Kaiser for covering us as well. We're in the pursuit of high-grade CRD, silver, lead, zinc deposits in a belt which I consider to be comparable to the Coeur d'Alene down in Idaho, which was the third most prolific silver belt in the world. And this belt is going to be just an amazing. It's very underexplored. It's only had a few companies active in it since the 70s and 80s, and really now it's only us and Coeur Mining in that belt. Coeur own a property called Silvertip Mine. It's one of the highest grade underground silver, lead, zinc mines in the world. It's going to go back into production probably in the next year or so. And they're having some great exploration success, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that because it has some impacts on our properties in British Columbia. A little bit about CMC. We were one of the top. We were in the top 50 of performing companies in terms of return on investment in the Venture Exchange in 2020, and we've just been ranked in the top 5 of silver explorers by Investor News Network. So we're out there and we're visible, and we intend to show you how we're going to generate value for our shareholders and why you should invest in us today. So what we're chasing, typical Peter McGaw model, we're chasing the CRD deposits. They're hosted in carbonate rocks like limestones and skarns. They need to be near an intrusion. They need that heat to drive it. They typically form at temperatures around 250, 300 degrees Celsius or more, and they typically form in clusters. And that's about all the geology I'm going to talk to you about today. The nice thing about these deposits is they're large. They tend to be 10 to 150 million tons in size. They're high grade in nature. They're typically low cost mines. And there are some beautiful examples of how these type of projects generated huge values for companies like Cinco de Mayo, Mag Silver, $2 billion market cap as a result of these type of deposits. So you want to be watching for companies exploring CRDs. Our focus is changing. We have our flagship property is Silver Heart. It's in the Yukon. It's in this belt of rocks that are 130 kilometers long by 50 kilometers wide. That extends from south central Yukon into northern BC. And the story about this project really goes back to 1985. There was a company called Silver Heart Mines Limited, which drilled high-grade silver veins right at surface, and people have been plugging holes into that since 1985. CMC got the property in 2005. I'm really the first geologist to run the company, and I've been running it now for 3 years, and we took a totally new focus on this. So the delineation of resources has been simply on these vein structures, but now you really want to chase the biggies. You want to chase the CRD deposits that we think exist on this property and more of our properties that we have up here. There's 220 holes in these silver veins. There's 6 mineralized zones. We know a couple of these zones are open pitable and probably would be economic. So we're already sitting on over 7.5 million silver equivalent ounces at this point, but we're going to grow that reserve. And we're going to grow it because we did an airborne survey in March of 2021. And as a result of that, we started seeing these huge conductive areas. And in particular, I'm going to point you towards T1 and T4. And the red lines there are just the veins. They're feeders to these larger manto CRD deposits that we feel exist in this area. We got a couple reasons why we think this is a good thing. So first of all, we got the right kind of rocks. We got limestones and skarns sitting there. We started putting a drill road in. Found some mineralization in them, and the copper close to the intrusion, exactly what we'd want to see in the setting there. The second reason is that we're sitting right next to the intrusion, so you got that heat source. So all those red areas are the intrusions, and all of the greeny blue areas are all the sediment areas that are altered and are going to be hopefully host to those CRD deposits. So we got the right geological setting. And then we did some soils. Once we saw those conductors, we ran soils over all of these targets. And we've got silver, lead, zinc anomalies over that. In fact, on T1, I've got a soil with over 500 grams a ton of silver in it. It's just unheard of. I mean, the silver's got to be right underneath there somewhere. So some beautiful, beautiful geochemistry coming out of this property. And so it suggests that the whole system is actually mineralized with silver, lead, and zinc, and we're out to prove that this year. And finally, you know, the proof also that the system is mineralized is those 35 years of plug-in on those mineralized veins that we feel are feeders to the bigger systems. And when we take a little slice of the pie, so we take that slice through the geophysics, and what we see in these conductors is some absolute huge targets. T1, it's 1,100 meters in depth. It's 250 meters in thickness. It's 800 meters in strike. That, folks, is 220 million cubic meters of material. My only concern is how do I, you know, with just a 5,000 meter program, examine that amount of material? And the bottom line is I won't. We need probably 50 or 100,000 meters just on this target alone to really define it and understand it. So we're going to get a quick first pass at this summer, but we think it's a superb target. And our second one is T4. It's got only about another 160 million cubic meters of target material. It's got a lateral extent of 750 meters, strike of over 600 meters, and a thickness of up to 150 meters. So beautiful target again. You know, most companies would say, well, the presentation is now over. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. But we've got more targets, folks, on the BC side. And we got I'm really getting excited about Silverknife, and I'm going to tell you why. So Silverknife, we just put out this release last week. We've identified 6 new targets, but what I'm really excited about is what Kerr is telling me. Kerr have been doing a lot of drilling. They've had great exploration success of their own, and they've just drilled a zone called Camp Creek West. And we don't exactly know how close it is to us, but we know it's darn close to our border. You know, big companies don't release where they drill, and that's a problem, but we think it's very near our eastern boundary and very near 3 of the targets in the south central portion of this property. So we're going to examine these 6 targets this year, and we're very excited about the fact that Kerr are saying out there that they've encountered some of the thickest and highest grade intersections in their entire property. That's got to be very close to our boundary. And then we've got 8 kilometers to the west of that, there is actually a classic carbonate replacement style deposit there. They explored this in the 60s and 70s. They put 2 adits in there. They defined an historical resource between the 2 adits, and it was at a lovely grade of 790 grams ton silver equivalent. So we know that there's beautiful material like this. This is a sample that came out of the adit, over 20 ounces of silver, 5% lead, 7.5% zinc. That is great money-making material, folks. We're going to drill it, we're going to find it, and this stuff around this area, just like Silvertip, is some of the highest grade material that you're going to find. So we have at least 3 high-grade CRD plays. We feel that distinguishes us from a lot of junior silver explorers. We've got 2 other properties we haven't even talked about yet. We got to do homework on them. And we're finding material wherever we hit it. We're finding comparable grades to Silvertip in what we feel will be the next silver district in this world. The key milestones, we're strengthening our own CMC team. We've just hired some great geologists out of Mexico with experience in epithermal and these kind of systems. We are bringing some stuff up through Newfoundland, because I'm a Newfoundlander, if you haven't already caught on to that. And so we're doing some work there already. And we're going to drill that 5,000 meters and hopefully announce out some beautiful results in September, October. And finally, we're going to bring Amy and Silverknife along to drill ready stage. And thank you very much, folks. And I'm 20 cents today, and I'm a good bargain. I'm valued at 25 and 40 cents, so we're cheap right now. Thank you very much.